Derek Chen op-ed, Eileen Gu's Olympic-level hypocrisy. An American-born star skiing under China's flag. Last month, 232 athletes representing the United States traveled to Milan to compete in the 2026 Winter Olympics. Many of these Americans have spent their entire lives working toward one goal, winning a gold medal for their home country. So, like many other Americans, I was shocked by US-born skier Eileen Gu's decision to turn her back on her home country and compete under the Chinese Communist Party flag. I find it offensive and hypocritical that GU gets to enjoy the rights and privileges of being a US citizen while elevating the regime that denies the Chinese people those same rights every day. My grandparents fought alongside General Chiang Kai-shek against the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, during the Chinese Civil War. They stood against communism and were forced to flee their home country because of it. After the war, they legally immigrated from Taiwan to the United States because they feared the CCP's tyranny. When they came to this country, they took advantage of every opportunity this nation provided. They worked hard, and they chased the American dream. As a child, I was raised with that same work ethic and a deep sense of gratitude and love for America. This love for America, combined with a real-world understanding of the danger China poses, makes what Eileen Gu did even more insulting to me. Gu has benefited from everything the United States has to offer, yet she chose to represent China in the Olympic Games. That decision has left many people confused, wondering why she would make that choice. She obviously does not want to live in China. She lives in the United States and enjoys all the benefits it provides. So what explains it? The Beijing Government Sports Bureau reportedly budgeted a combined $6.6 million for GU and another US-born athlete, Zhu Yi, to compete for China in the 2026 Olympics. A few $1,000,000. Is that all it takes to ignore the countless human rights violations, murders, censorship, suppression of religion, genocide, and the threat the CCP poses to the United States? If you do not love our country, then leave. Eileen Gu should put her money where her mouth is and book a ticket to Beijing, but we all know that will not happen anytime soon. Instead, she will continue reaping the benefits of being an American while waving the flag of one of the world's most immoral and repressive regimes. Every time Eileen Gu competes for China, her hypocrisy and lack of patriotism will be on full display. But that is the difference between them and us. In China, an athlete would never be allowed to compete under another nation's flag. Hey, our citizens are free. They are protected by our constitution, which allows them to choose their own path, even when others may disagree. That is the difference. A snow globe of flags, on Eileen Gu, hypocrisy, and the price of belonging. There's a particular kind of silence that only exists on mountains, the hush right before a drop, when the wind seems to hold its breath and the world narrows to one clean line of intention. Skiers live for that moment, the pure physics of gravity and courage, because it feels like truth. No speeches, no podium scripts, just the body saying, I can, and the mountain answering, show me. But the second the skier lands, the silence ends. Cameras rush in. Questions appear like gates, and suddenly the athlete is no longer only an athlete. She becomes an emblem, stitched into a parka, pinned to a flag, translated into politics. That is the strange arena Eileen Gu has been skating. No, flying. Through for years. The halfpipes, clean arcs, and the world's messiest arguments. Gu is an American-born freestyle skier who began representing China in international competition in 2019. Saying she wanted to inspire young people in China and build bridges between cultures. Her Olympic performances turned her into a global name. 2 golds and a silver in Beijing 2022, and a lasting place in the public imagination as a once-in-a-generation talent. And with that fame came a familiar accusation, one that Derek Chen's op-ed crystallizes in a sharp phrase, Olympic-level hypocrisy. The word hypocrisy is a blunt instrument. It makes clean cuts. It is satisfying because it feels like a verdict. It implies a simple story. Someone said one thing and did another, waved one flag while enjoying another passport, preached unity while cashing checks. In a world exhausted by complicated realities, hypocrisy offers the comfort of a moral shortcut. But if you slow the footage down, frame by frame, like coaches do, what you see in this controversy is not a simple contradiction. It's a collision of identity and expectation, of branding and nationalism, of private life and public symbolism. And like any collision at high speed, it sprays fragments everywhere. The athlete is mirror. A skier in mid-D is the closest thing sport has to a miracle. Suspended, briefly, between what is and what could be. That suspension is exactly what the public refuses to grant her off the snow. People want athletes to be authentic, but only in ways that flatter the audience's idea of what authenticity should look like. If you are born in the United States, authentic means you compete for the United States. If you have Chinese heritage, authentic means you speak for China, but only in the way critics find politically acceptable. If you are successful, authentic means you must also be grateful in the correct direction, toward the flag the crowd prefers. Gu's own words about dual identity, American in the US, Chinese in China, to many, either beautiful or unforgivable. That split reaction reveals something uncomfortable. The argument isn't only about her. It's about us, about what we demand from a person who won't fit into a single box. Because the truth is, the modern superstar athlete is not only a competitor. She is a platform, a billboard, a national story, a marketing portfolio, a geopolitical Rorschach test. And Gu's inkblot is unusually vivid. The citizenship nut. The loudest hypocrisy charge often circles one question: is she American or Chinese? People ask it as if nationality is always a simple toggle switch. But Gu's situation has been publicly controversial precisely because it sits in a legal and political gray zone. China does not generally recognize dual citizenship, and her nationality status has been widely debated in public discourse. Reporting has discussed citizenship scrutiny and the complications around what it would mean to compete for China, including references to naturalization or permanent residency pathways mentioned by Chinese officials in coverage at the time. Here's where hypocrisy becomes a tempting simplification. If you assume the situation is black and white, then any ambiguity looks like deceit. If you believe citizenship should be declared like a jersey number, then privacy becomes suspicious. If you believe identity must be singular, then a dual sense of belonging feels like betrayal. But a lot of real lives, especially immigrant lives, diaspora lives, mixed family lives, do not behave like slogans. They behave like braided rope, strong because they are intertwined, complicated because you can't separate strands without damage. The sponsorship spotlight. The next accusation is money, that representing China is a business decision dressed in heritage clothing.